All right, welcome back, everyone. This is the introduction to step 3 of solution 1, 2, 3. And Jay, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, and please jump in as usual. So solution 3, the first thing I want to say is it builds off of this, step 3 builds off of the success of steps 1 and 2, and really the dialectic between the two, the dynamo, the 1-2 dynamo. And also the success of 1-2 then gives us a model of how to look at multiple global issues and connect them and combine them and create solutions to address more than one simultaneously and holistically. And that's exactly what the 1-2 dynamo creates. Now, step 3 takes on all of the world's problems. I hesitate to say all the rest of the world's problems because even though it may be easy to think about 1, 2, and 3 sequentially, in reality, all 3 will be happening simultaneously. I mean, 1 and 2 might get a minuscule head start, but it will be truly minuscule because as soon as people start getting caught up in the magic of 1, 2, and they hear about 3, I mean, it's like you want to just like read through, you know, every page in Harry Potter to get to the end. What ultimately happens? You're just curious as heck. And so, you know, but bottom line, we build on that success. We build on that foundation of looking at things holistically. And we then take a dimensional enhancement on going from 2 to all. That's a dimensional enhancement to all the world's problems. And there's some good interviews. I suggest starting with the one where it's me and my dad talking. That goes for, I don't know, 25 minutes to 30 minutes. And I apologize for the long length of these, but there's just so much to get across. And
well, I think people are, you know, can definitely want to watch those because, you know, it helps to really understand the background, where it's all coming from, and you know, and it's interesting. It's a really good model. And you describe it well, and I think that overall, you know, so it's worth diving into that information when people have a chance. If you don't have 30 minutes to do it now, well, just put it on your calendar, do it a little bit later, something like that.
Cool, great idea. And really, kind of the umbrella that I'm increasingly using to talk about our particular instantiation of a more general principle, which is the holistic, simultaneous, transformational paradigm, is what we're calling ours is, and it's really the world's, is the Radish ecosystem. And so the Radish ecosystem consists of the Radish social network, and then all the other platforms that we discussed here within step 3 of solution 1, 2, 3. And you'll see that the more general standard CCC, Certified Compassionate Company, is a natural outgrowth of ECO, in that it retains the same fundamental pillars, which is that all profits to the eradication of hunger, socially transformational and environmentally transformational. But then the question arises, well, since we're now expanding to industries outside of cannabis and hemp, in fact, going after every industry within the entire global economy, what exactly does it mean to be socially transformational in the auto industry? What does it mean to be environmentally transformational in the oil and gas industry, right? Is it even conceivable that we have an oil and gas industry within a compassionate economy? I would venture yes, because just as there's a broad spectrum from, you know, good, reputable relief organizations with integrity to, you know, quote unquote relief organizations that are really just a scam. So you've got scam all the way to the best of the best. Likewise, within the realm of the oil and gas industry, you have players with very poor environmental track records and a very few smaller organizations with excellent environmental track records. And so certain derivatives of oil and gas are, I would say, are essential components to a well-oiled, so to speak, global economy, pun intended, because a lot of them are lubricants. I mean, we simply don't want all the tractors in the world to have to grind to a halt for lack of lubricants. And do we have to use petroleum to produce those lubricants? Are there other alternatives? Well, let's develop the alternatives. But in the meantime, let's keep the tractors running so that we can keep feeding people, right? What do you think about that, Jay?
Yeah, well, what I hear is that there's going to be this transition for a lot of companies, and using the model that's from Eco with the cannabis, starting with cannabis and hemp, we'll have that model to build on, and it's something that can be built on relatively rapidly. So, like you're saying, it can happen almost simultaneously. And where I can also see is that how it's going to work in terms of transforming other difficult issues in the world is that that people will be able to choose where it is that they want to make that difference. Like the different companies are going to be able to say, well, hunger seems like you've got your 50 billion happening over there. So where can I put my money that I really that I see in my heart would make a difference for how it is I want to make a difference in the world with my business. So and that will begin growing as more and more businesses, more types of business hear about it. There's always going to be some kind of a transition time in any sort of thing like this, and I think that we're already there's nothing that we have to do. Ourselves. I mean, the transition in the energy industry is already happening, and so there isn't necessarily anything that we do other than put together a standard saying, or help to put together a standard or a model saying, hey, this is what it looks like to be compassionate, and then people can pick it up from there.
Well, I would actually, and to build on that, to say, what does it mean to be compassionate within the oil and gas industry? I think it's such a hot potato. I think it's a good one to talk about. What would it mean to be compassionate? I would say that both the countries in which the company is based and the company itself should be required in order to have compassionate certification. They should, at both levels, they should be signatories to a global budget for both oil and gas. Right? That's the big, 8,000-pound elephant in the middle of of Interstate 5, right? In the middle of rush hour, and everyone's like, "Well, we don't want to talk about that." Right?
Yeah, right. Right. No, I hear you. And I think that that's true for a lot of industries. Hey, one of the things that's going to happen, going back to the hemp industry, is that as we transition to more of an economy based on hemp that is going to be more sustainable anyway, in the long run, we're going to actually be using less forest products. And so, how do we enable that transition, and especially for the companies that are already in the forest product industry, how do we enable them to transition, gracefully into the world of hemp as being a sustainable way to have a lot of the same products that we already have coming out of the forest product industry, like paper and building materials for buildings and carpet, and just about anything you can think of. So there will be that transition, and that's the kind of thing that's actually pretty exciting. So, yeah.
I'm really excited that you mentioned that, because I want to build off that for oil and gas. So you could say, all right, we need a global, let's say the global budget for, combined oil and gas and BTUs is right now this. We're burning through this amount, and it's increasing. In fact, the only time that it didn't increase was like 2008, 2009, when the global economy took a slight dip. Other than that, it's just been on its way up, right? Going way past pre-2008 levels. And so let's say a sustainable level would be down here. Well, how the heck do you bridge that gap, right? Now, pointing to the PDF that I go through with my dad, this almost half-hour presentation with my dad, where you have to kind of like currently watch the PDF in one window and then be listening along in the other. So as long as you can handle that, I thank you for that. Your patience on that is, we'll do better in our videography in the future. But here's what I wanted to say. In that, we talk about the global holistic model that can help us to find the optimal path forward. And as you'll notice, so what it is you've got this death spiral, and we branch away from the death spiral and onto a path towards utopia. And of course, there are very technical meanings, technical definitions, precise definitions that need to be introduced to even make that statement have any meaning whatsoever. I'm speaking broad brushstrokes. I'm taking artistic license for that. And thank you for the license. But here's the point I want to make. It's a gradual transition away from the death spiral towards utopia. It's not an abrupt right angle, right, where 99% of the cars would just fly right off the freeway at that point. You need to give them a gradual off-ramp and a time to decelerate. So as controversial as this may sound, I personally would advocate for, and I'm not saying that anyone else in the universe would advocate for the same thing, this is what I would advocate for, is a phased, clamp down on the total budget that would be phased in over the course of years or potentially decades. But really, we don't have that much time to spare. So whereas it might be gradual initially, it might then accelerate. The transition may accelerate because, and of course, Silicon Valley and other centers of rapid technological development will seize upon opportunities to say, hey, if there's going to be a clamp down on oil and gas usage, we really need to innovate because there's huge opportunities here. Whether they do it for practical, compassionate reasons. Go ahead, Jay.
I think that, essentially what you're going to see, good possibility of what we'll see is actually something that's an exponential transition. And of course, in an exponential curve, what you see is that it starts off really slowly, but after it hits the knee of the curve, it goes up. It goes really, really fast. And so, that's the kind of thing I think we'll see as more and more companies see the benefits of being, and participating in the compassion economy. As more people get excited about it, as consumers say, hey, this is where we're voting with our money, and that's all gonna push it exponential.
I just forgot to unmute. Absolutely, Jay. Yeah, no, and along with that, you'll see the exponential increase, or it'll be exponential like at first, of increase in production of hemp, which in turn is great for sequestering carbon. It does a much better job, depending on the latitude. It can do up to 5 times a better job in terms of sequestering carbon and using a fraction of the water that the forests use, or cotton, for example. And so it's phenomenally environmental. And so Sato hemp actually gets huge check marks in both the environmentally transformational and the socially transformational, for reasons that we'll go into in the other videos. But anyway, I hope that suffices as an introduction. This is just a very rich topic because it's none other than solving all the world's problems holistically and simultaneously. Jay, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, and if that's what your company's up to, like you get a job with a company people are going to be they're going to be searching out those jobs, and what a better feeling than to go to work every day and feel like that what you're doing is actually making a much larger difference than just the work you're doing.
Dude, no question about it. The consumers are going to be seeking out the products and services that are compassionate, that are eco-certified, that are CCC certified, and of course, just as you said, Jay, the workers, the people in the labor force are going to be seeking out those jobs, and it's just going to be an amazing, transformation on the trajectory towards utopia. And and again, like we make the point in other videos, if anyone has any better ideas as to how we can transform all the world's problems, or even any one of the world's problems, hey, Jamin and Jay, I've got a better idea for how we can end hunger. We're all ears, right? Or I've got a better idea for how we can reverse climate change. we're all ears on that too. In fact, we might, you know, not might, we will certainly be cobbling together multiple diverse solutions to put together the platforms that we're talking about. And mentioned in the videos in this section, step 3. So step 3 is a very, very big section, and we'll be adding more links to it, because in the videos with Dad, I've mentioned several other resources that I now need to add links to. So please be patient as we add the links.
Yeah, well, right, and collaboration of ideas is exactly what Radish is about. It's, you know, being the social network of transformational.
Social network of global transformation.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Then you know, that's exactly, you know, what we expect to do, is to bring people in, include anyone who's interested, and you know, and collaborate on effective solutions.
Brilliant, brilliant, totally. And just like the paper that we put the link to, the higher form of intelligence, that's authored by Spectral Radius, which is the predecessor to Radish. In that paper, we go in detail into the concept of the higher form of intelligence, which is just, I mean, if you've watched this far, keep going, because it gets really good when you get to the higher form of intelligence. You know, just be patient, read the darn thing. I know people don't like to read so much these days as we used to, but please do read it. And I also need to insert that video with my dad that we shot back in September. It was like Introduction to Spectral Radius, or Introduction to a Higher Form of Intelligence, or both, or something like that. So we'll get that up there too, for those who don't want to read and just would prefer to watch me and Dad going at it. All right. But anything else, Jay?
No, I think we're good. I think it's a great overview. I think it's going to help people understand, you know, it's going to help everybody understand what it is we're up to, and and certainly the direction that we're going.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jay. And thanks everyone for watching. And keep watching.
Thank you.
Stay tuned via the blog, etc. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Peace out.